This is Carl Eller, and you're watching the One Bar and Lepagas show.
All right, welcome back to the One Bar and Lepagas show. I'm One Bar with Lepagas, and in this episode, we're going to be talking about 5 Vikings that have just kind of disappointed through the first 6 weeks of the season. It's a bye week, so we're going to reflect a little bit.
Yeah, we don't be Debbie Downers here, but when the shit is stinking, you got to point out the turds that reek the most, and that's what we're doing right now. So, I mean, it is what it is. Some guys just aren't living up to snuff, and these are the guys who are doing that.
Luckily, there's plenty of season for them to turn their shit around and come back. As always, this episode is brought to you by Windview Games, the nation's prop contest leader. We know the Vikings inside and out. Put that knowledge to the test. Download the link right here. Every week, new questions, which I got to admit, it's been pretty damn fun. We're doing an episode every week about it. And also, if you join with this link right here, let us know your ID. We will join, or we will add you to our league so we can see how you're doing.
Yeah, they're matching the first $100 right now. So basically, it's all risk-free. I tried a baseball one last night. The results were not pretty at all.
Yeah, I can see that. So yes, first $100 they match. It's a no-brainer. Do it. And speaking of doing it, let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's hop into these disappointing Vikings. And I'm going to start with one that, okay, this one's pretty obvious. It's Bashad Breeland, our starting cornerback, opposite Patrick Peterson. Yes, he's coming off his best game, but get an interception. What else did he do? He didn't have any tackles. His PFF grade was high, but those Panthers are dropping passes left and right. So I think that those numbers may be a little misleading. This guy has given opposing receivers huge cushions. He doesn't tackle, like I already said. His coverage is very suspect. When we signed Bashad Breeland, we all had very high hopes, and he hasn't really come close to meeting those. And also, I can't forget to mention, he keeps getting into Twitter beefs with the fans.
Beef, one of my favorite meats out there.
One of my best neighbors ever had.
I mean, Breeland, I'm gonna. You don't want to admit it, but he did have a good game last week. He had a good game. Oh, I know, but you're like blaming on the drops.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I really want to know how many of those drops are factored into his good grade.
Doesn't matter. He had a good game. He's had a shitty season. There's no doubt about it. He was been our number 2 corner. He's been a liability, absolute disappointment. I mean, it's not like he's an overly expensive corner, but I think the disappointment more for me is the fact that they haven't just said, screw it, we're going to put in Cam Downs or somebody else. So that's my disappointing part. He's not playing well, but they're also not making any changes. So Bashad Breeland is absolutely a disappointment.
I think you mentioned this before, but he just lives and dies by the interception, and that's what he does. He's always going for the ball, and it's worked out 1 out of 6 games so far.
Yeah, but I just can't wait. It's going to pan out where he gets a game-winning pick 6, and we're going to forget everything he's done so far, and he's going to be the best damn corner we've ever seen.
Wow, that was very unexpected and intense. Let's move on. Another guy on this list. Who you got? I gotta be honest, my last sip went down the wrong.
Yeah, Lepagas is struggling.
I'm really struggling right now.
We might watch his demise right here. Speaking of demise, hit up our Patreon page. We just posted I'm sorry, it went limp. We just posted our mystery video of the week today. Patreonites are the only ones who get it. Also, you get a monthly drawing for swag and shout outs on the show. So hit up that Patreon link. If you don't, you're a damn fool.
Yeah, we got 10 days and we'll be drawn for
$2. I mean, what's $2? That can't even get you. That's cheaper than a McDouble at McDonald's.
God, those are so good.
They are good. All right. Other disappointments. Let's go to the offensive side of the ball. Let's go with Mr. Tyler Conklin. Irv Smith goes out for the year. Conklin had a very good year last year. We're all thinking this is Tyler Conklin's moment. He's going to come in, step in, be that tight end, make some bank next year when he's a free agent. You put this maybe on the play calling. I don't know where you put this, but Conklin has really not done anything. I mean, I think he's got 22 catches. I mean, he's had some plays, but I guess I expected more. Maybe my expectations are too high.
You've seen a lot of drops from Conklin. He hasn't really seized the opportunity. And I think you said it. Maybe it's the play calling. They seem to be targeting Jefferson a lot, feeling a lot. But again, yeah, I think we both thought that when Irv Smith went down, we brought in Chris Herndon, that we'd be okay because we got Tyler Conklin. he hasn't done what I really thought he would do. And not that I'm saying he's going to be a world beater or anything, but I thought he had done a lot more at this point than what we've seen so far. And it is disappointing what we've seen from Tyler Conklin at this point.
Yeah, and he is disappointment 2B could be Chris Herndon. Maybe it's just our tight ends in general. They're just not a focal point at this point.
Well, and maybe when Irv Smith went down, Clint Kubiak's entire scheme got messed up, and he's just trying to figure out the best way to get playmakers involved. And maybe he doesn't consider Tyler Conklin a playmaker. What are you slurping on over there? That was very disturbing.
He should watch his mouth. Tyler Conklin is a playmaker, and hopefully we see more of him throughout the season. Next up, let's go with our free agent signing wide receiver, Mr. D. Westbrook. We know he was injured in training camp, got a little bit of a late start, but what we've seen of him so far is kind of pee-pee, Westbrook.
Yeah, we thought maybe he'd be wide receiver 3. KJ Osborne has taken that role and ran with it. He's the best wide receiver 3 we've seen since Jarius Wright. Then as the punt returner, yes, most times D. Westbrook will catch the ball, but he's ran backwards. He's let some ones go that he probably shouldn't have. He's caught some inside the 10. He's making questionable decisions as his primary punt return role. And it's head scratching, it's frustrating, but most of all, especially for this video, it's disappointing.
It is disappointing, and you nailed it. If he doesn't want to contribute, or if he's buried on the depth chart at receiver, so be it. Again, another cheap option like Breeland, but I expected a lot more in the punt return game. He's averaging a little over 4 yards of punt return. Granted, that's about 4 times better than last year, but that's still dog shit. 4.3 or something yards of punt return. That's not. Yeah. It's horrifying. Come on.
Yeah, and was it last game where he was starting to bobble some punts? And
I think he had one bobble.
So now, I mean, I'm going to be holding my breath against the Cowboys if they punt and Westbrook's back there trying to catch it.
Dede, let's do this. Pull it together. Who's next on our list?
Next, we had a guy, a defensive end, DJ Wanham, a starter who not really taking advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, this one's a weird one. Do you put it on the fact that Everson Griffin is doing so well? I don't know. I mean, I guess year 2, I expected Wanham to step up a little bit more. We're not seeing a ton of him, but I mean, even his, whatever you think about PFF scores, his is dog shit, and that's putting it politely. I mean, I think he's in the low 40s, dog shit against pass rush and run defense, but the future, maybe year 3 will be his moment when Everson Griffin is gone. But I did expect more from him.
Yeah, I did too. But here's my thing with DJ Wanham. Should we be surprised? He was very hot and cold last year. Like he would have, a 4-game stretch where he did nothing, and all of a sudden 3 games he's on fire. Then he would cool off again, get hot again. So maybe this is who DJ Wanham is. He's just up and down. He's like your echocardiogram. If you were to put it on air. Very erratic heartbeat.
Wow. Yeah, maybe that is. Maybe I just had high expectations for him because he was a guy that was looked at as kind of an athletic guy, and we all saw what Danielle Hunter happened. Maybe I had false expectations for him. If he just ends up being a role player that can get you 2 to 5 sacks a year, that sounds fantastic.
Maybe that's all they want from him. But again, when you're the starter, you expect a lot more. And I think that's where the bar was set high. He hasn't come close to beating that. I think was it last week or the week before where he's coming off his best game. But yeah, he's been just shockingly quiet this year. And Andre Patterson, he's called him his pet cat or whatever it was, his pet dog. I can't remember what animal it was, pet llama. You would want to see a big jump in year 2, especially with the entire offseason for him to, progress. And we haven't seen it. So DJ Wanham, definitely disappointing.
Definitely. And final, number 5.
Yeah, and I know we disagree on this one, but it's kicker Greg Joseph. And I understand where you're coming from. He's a Vikings kicker. He's Greg Joseph. Expectations shouldn't have been high, but I'm sorry. When you have a chance to win a game in Arizona, you won the game in Detroit against Detroit, but you also missed a field goal that got us to that point. And then you do the same thing against the Panthers and miss another field goal to win the game. That is disappointing, and it can't be denied. Greg Joseph, it's just the Vikings kicker position. It doesn't matter who it's going to be, but it's always going to be a disappointment. And Greg Joseph is just another Vikings kicker who we cannot rely on, and that is disappointing.
Yes, and we do disagree on this one, where maybe you thought he was going to be the next Fuad Revez or the next best kicker in the league. My expectations for him were pretty much about where he's at. He's kicking 77% from field goal, which is about 13% higher than Dan Bailey last year. I figured Greg Joseph would come in, miss some kicks, have some decent games, and that's what he's done. So I can't say he's a disappointment. I can't say that I love Greg Joseph and I get the warm and fuzzies to come out there. But as far as expectations, my expectations for Greg Joseph were the level below a hungover shit.
Yeah, mine weren't high either, but I mean, Jesus Christ, when the game's on the line, make the damn kick.
Well, yeah, I mean, he should have made the kick, but I don't expect him to. It's Greg Joseph. He's been on like 4 teams.
The fact that he has, cost us 1 win and potentially a second, thank God for Kirk Cousins and his big old beefy balls, pulling that thing out. And KJ Osborne, it's got to get some love there too. But Greg Joseph. I'm
not saying Greg Joseph is good. I just didn't expect him to be good. That's why I'm not disappointed.
I didn't expect him to be very good either, but if he's your kicker and you get in those clutch situations, you have to put those through.
Let us know in the comments, who are your disappointments this year? Who did we miss on? And and that's about it. I mean, make sure to hit up our Patreon page.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on. I mean, we're going to be giving out some swag real soon. Could be a sweet hat. Are you wearing your One Bar Olympics hat? Is that what that is? Maybe you want that. Maybe you want a sweet hoodie.
Imagine walking into the local VFW with this bad boy on.
God,
Actually, you take your hat off in the VFW. Sorry, that was a bad example.
The local Buffalo
Super
Wild
warm.
Wings. Freaking so much snaz will be all over you. But before you get in that, before you start fantasizing about your hat that you may or may not win, join the Patreon. And remember this. The phrase bitch the pot was 19th century slang for pour the tea.